What are the best smartphones in the world right now? It's a big question, but today we've got some answers. I've got 5 honorable mentions, phones that didn't quite make the top tier, and then 13 phones that I absolutely love. And number 5 in this list of runners-up is the new iPhone SE. To be clear, I like almost everything about it. It's got the build quality and the performance of a $1,000 phone, and it's $399. Even the camera is really quite good. It's just that the battery life isn't. And it's not just a case that battery isn't the strong point of the phone, it's more that, it could actually cause you a bit of a problem. And if you're going to use your phone for 2 to 3 years, it's only going to get worse over that period. So if you're considering the SE, I personally think there's better options, but we'll come to them. Number 4 is a phone that looks pretty unremarkable on paper. You could read through the phone's entire spec sheet and not a single thing would jump out at you as, wow, that's really cool. But the Google Pixel 3a is one of the nicest phones to use for the $300 you can get it at now. Clean Google software with a pretty decent OLED screen. But with this phone, Google has kind of shifted the balance for what they think is important in a phone. Away from really high-end materials, this thing's made of plastic, and away from a screen that fills the entire front of the phone, for this, the camera. I was just messing around with it a few weeks ago, taking photos of my cat, and it's so impressive that I came back wondering if even my $1,400 Galaxy S20 Ultra could have done this. The reason it's only an honorable mention is because this is their mid-range phone from last year and is soon to be replaced by the Google Pixel 4a, so if you bought it now you might be a little bummed in a couple of months. But that brings me to the Pixel 4, which is the company's top-end flagship from last year. And it might be a bit of a surprise I'm even mentioning this at all, because when it launched for $800 it was underwhelming, and the whole thing was undercut by poor battery life. If a phone can't get through a full day of usage, then as far as I'm concerned it could have the coolest features on the planet, it could tie your shoelaces for you, but I can't recommend it. However, in a bit of a surprise turn of events, after a few updates, Pixel 4 battery life improved in my testing. That doesn't happen very often, to be clear. And add to that in most regions you can now get the Pixel 4 for like $499, and I think it's actually quite a viable alternative to the iPhone SE. Number 2 is a bit of a sad story. We're talking a smartphone that has an incredible set of cameras, really good performance, and a market-leading display. This is the Oppo Find X2 Pro, and under different circumstances this could well have been a smartphone of the year. The catch is that it's been pretty much invalidated by the existence of the OnePlus 8 Pro. Barely a month after the Find X2 Pro, OnePlus dropped a phone with almost identical specs, similar design, and a software skin I think most people will prefer, and a much lower price tag. And that turns this Oppo phone into basically a luxury alternative to the OnePlus. This phone has a beautiful vegan leather finish. I want more companies to do this. It feels like a supercar. The cameras, they can zoom further, but from a practical standpoint, I just don't think it's worth the extra money. And then, the final runner-up is also from Oppo, is the Reno 3 Pro. I used this phone for like 2 whole months this year, which is far longer than I usually use mid-range phones. You could think of this as a nearly flagship camera stuck on a mid-range phone's body. I just would have liked to see a higher-end chipset inside of it. Okay, those are the good smartphones, and that leaves us with the best smartphones. And I've categorized them for the different kinds of buyer, with one overall champion at the end. So first of all, if you're anything like me, and you're almost a little bit sick of smartphones overtaking the size of your face, you just want a compact flagship, there are 3 good options. Just as a disclaimer, I say the word compact in a fairly loose sense of the word, because most good phones now are not small phones, but these 3 should be pretty manageable for all hands. So first of all, Galaxy S20, and this is pretty much the compact phone I've been asking for years. It's got the latest everything, fastest chipset, RAM, storage, the camera. This is quintessential Samsung, and the screen is in the top 5 displays on a phone right now. We're talking Quad HD Plus AMOLED 120Hz panel, and the battery's great if you get the Snapdragon version. And that's the one caveat. If you're in a region like the UK or India, where Samsung serves the Exynos version, battery life falls from great to pretty good. Alternatively, iPhone 11 Pro. And I mean, I could sit here comparing the specs and the features, but this really boils down to the question, do you want an iPhone or do you want an Android? If you're open to either, I would say try the Galaxy S20. It's got 5G, and the 120Hz display will make it feel faster. But rest assured, if you go for the iPhone 11 Pro, it's up there too. And finally, the last compact phone is actually the Galaxy S10 II. Now, I generally try to stay away from recommending older phones, because they're just going to become outdated faster. But because this category of compact flagship phones doesn't get too much love, this is still one of the better options for now closer to $500. Good camera, great screen, and this just feels like it was made for your palm. Incredibly comfortable to hold. Okay, gaming phones. And to be honest, this